Hello, everyone. Are you here? Okay. I'll use my notes because my mother always says that I'm terrible improvising, and I don't want her to know that I didn't follow her wise advice, okay? And also, English is not my mother tongue, so you'll understand that I want to be quite clear in the messages I want to transmit. Thank you for your understanding. But before I say anything else, let me ask you for something. Some of you who came many years, who have been coming many years to this summit, know this face. This is Mr. Alfredo Hoyos, one of the pioneers of conscious capitalism back in Colombia, and the man who brought me here in 2018 for the first time. And he gave me many lessons, he shared lots of ideas with me during the years we had the opportunity to be friends. And I want to ask you to give us, and him and his family, some of them are here with us, a moment of silence. Rest in peace, Mr. Don Alfredo, and thank you to the Familia Hoyos for taking care of his legacy and elevating his magnificent way of leadership, of leading to the next stage. Just 30 seconds, okay? I'm very happy, I'm very proud to be here this morning, talking not only on the behalf of the team I have back in Colombia, more than 5,000 people that work in COMFAMA, but also in the name of many Colombian leaders that live and work under the principles of conscious capitalism. Also, I celebrate that today in this very room are with us the CEOs of some of the most important companies in my country: agribusiness, cement, infrastructure, food, banking, appliances, energy. Well, I have to say that the banker is a good banker. That's something he would say. That's something he will clarify if you introduce him to the group. Among other industries. Give me a round of applause to the Colombian crew. He's also a great banker, but I prefer the good part. This is to my dear Colombian colleagues. I'm not here to talk about COMFAMA or about my personal story, because when I got the invitation from Alex, I decided to share today not the things I do or my organization do, but the things we do together to build, first, a better community in the place we call home, and then, through this, a better world. Thank you for joining me here in this summit today. First, I want all of you in this summit to remember and understand why it is so important that developing countries like Colombia and many other Latin American and other countries in the world form part of this global movement of conscious capitalism. This is one of my favorite pictures. That's a picture of the Colombian Amazon, and that's a picture of the jaguar, the representative of the Colombian fauna and biodiversity. So on one hand, we Colombians are guardians of one of the most valuable patrimonies of humanity. As a country, we rank second in biodiversity, only after Brazil, which is 8 times our size. We are also protectors over 6% of the Amazon jungle, or only 6%, but the best preserved area until now. The largest freshwater producer ecosystem of the planet. I don't know if you know, but the water that the Amazon gives to the skies of Latin America, to South America, goes all around the world. So most of the water in Southeast Asia and Africa comes from the Amazon. The Amazon is not only a Latin American or the Americas problem, or a Brazilian problem, for that sake. It's a problem, it's a global issue. Please join us saving these and other critical tropical ecosystems. That's not our problem. It's a problem for all of us. And now, do you see this? These magnificent paintings, they are in the middle of the Amazon jungle in Colombia. They were discovered only a few years ago. And the mere fact that they were dated over 19,000 years ago, questions the previous idea of the way Homo sapiens populated the Americas. I know this is a contradiction to what you learn at school. 19,000 years ago. Chiribiquete, that's the name of this place, is what remains of a lost and almost forgot civilization. It's the symbol both of our ancient history as a country and this goes to all of you, of the scary possibility of us, all of us on the face of the planet, disappearing not only as a society, but as a species, if we, governments, companies, and business leaders don't change our way of doing things. So I come from a place in the world that must address immediately, with the highest urgency than any other country, and has to understand that the value of nature is the value of everything else, that we humans are part of nature. Maybe businesses don't have 20 or 30 years to adapt. We, in Colombia, we are ready to act as leaders, but this is a systemic challenge. Many things in global markets and drugs policies have to change in order to help save the Amazon and other critical ecosystems we have under our responsibility. Also, I want to share with you that most of the Colombian group that's attending this summit comes from Medellin. Maybe you have heard about that city. That's the second largest city of our country. This picture symbolizes our past of hatred. That's the bullet hole in the window. But also our comeback. That's the face of this girl looking into the future. This is the work of one of our greatest photographers in the country. Our city, formerly the most violent in the world, has rebirthed from its ashes. In good part, thanks to a committed and vibrant private sector who never left. They never left, despite of violence, despite of hatred, despite of poverty. They understood clearly that you cannot have successful businesses in failed communities, and that progress, and by progress I mean development, wealth, equality, inclusion, is the result of everyone, from universities to organized communities, politicians and companies working all together as members of the hive. In synthesis, what I want to point out here is that being a conscious capitalist in a developing economy, in a country like ours, goes far beyond, a few miles beyond what's being a conscious capitalist here in the US. What you call, for example, poverty for us, we were talking about that earlier, is middle class. You have to understand that. And if you complain about your politics, you don't know how politics in a country like ours. I mean, Colombia is a country full of opportunities. I don't want to talk bad about my country. I love it. I think it's great. I think it's doing well. It's a middle-income country if you ask to the UN. But I want to make you conscious of our challenges and why being part of this movement is so important to us. So, in time, the business sector of the place on earth that we call home, we've learned about corporate citizenship that goes beyond corporate responsibility. We know about collaboration, and we know, as you know from this picture, about resilience. Would you agree with me that these three crucial traits are fundamental in post-pandemic times, not only for my city or my country, but for all of us? What do you think? But this didn't begin last week. We are standing on the shoulders of giants. Our story is the story of responsible, active, and committed business leaders. Our 20th century business leaders were also social entrepreneurs, not only business leaders. They created, and some of the pictures are here on this slide, our two largest hospitals, several world-class private universities, the Botanical Garden, two arts museums, scores of non-profits on education culture, even a think tank for the development of our region, Pro-Antioquia. And also in the 21st century, we've created the Science Museum, our innovation center, and after the appearance of local populism at the City Hall, we created, with other community leaders, the Citizens Oversight Association. Yes, we are doing politics, not partisan politics, I mean. But big politics, politics as in taking care of the police, what's public, what belongs to all of us. Now we have a wide, rich group of what I would call private sector institutions. They are not classical non-profits, but they are institutions that work as a hinge, as a bridge between businesses, non-profits, and governments. And they are led by business leaders. And this coalition, that's the picture in the center, is the day they created COMFAMA in 1954, in the middle of the only very short military dictatorship that we had in Colombia, in the middle of the 20th century. They created together business leaders and workers' unions. I think we have to talk more about workers' unions and their role in conscious capitalism. There's this leader from the workers' unions of Colombia. I sent him as a gift the first book of Conscious Capitalism, and he called me back. And he said, this is the union's workers' agenda for the 21st century. Thank you so much. So think about that. And this organization, COMFAMA, was created as a solidarity model based in the European ideas of compensation, cooperatives, mutuals. Some of them are here in the US as well. But when I was thinking how to explain COMFAMA to all of you, I thought about this animal. You know the platypus? I love it. Because the list of the things we do was very long in the introduction, right? Yes? Lifelong learning, we manage cultural centers, we have hospitals and health centers, we have schools, recreational parks. We are, part of what we are is a credit union. We own a technical school, and sometimes explaining what we do is very difficult. My mother would say that this is not the proper way to introduce a company or a serious organization. I have to say that we are funded mainly by companies. They pay a payroll tax to us, but we are not a typical nonprofit. Someone said yesterday that he didn't like nonprofits because he likes to win. We win. We win in markets and we win in impact all the time. Please don't think about that like that about nonprofits. You are wrong. If you think that nonprofits are not competing, they are competing for funding, for preference, for impact, for love, for in-market selling services. In Colombia, nonprofits, we can sell services in exchange for co-payments or fees. And what my boss would say that the president of my board would say that this is a better way to present what we do. Our higher purpose, expanding our middle class. In the center of the platform, we operate like a platform. We have COMFAMA. We have two benefits, care and progress. Care in the meaning of wellness, health, and progress, and meaning education, culture. On one side, we have the employers. They pay to us their payroll tax and some fees, and they get back in exchange some services of care and progress for their employees and their communities. And on the other side of the platform, we have the working class families. They pay co-payments, and they receive in exchange services of care and progress. And this is like a virtuous circle. What do the workers want from employers? A great place to flourish, not to work, to flourish. And what do you want in exchange for this work? Creative energy. Not only hands, minds, hearts, souls. What we do in progress is mainly that list on the left, and what we do in care is the list on the right. Some things could be on either sides. That's something arbitrary. Just to explain what we do. In 1954, the people who created this were visionaries. Now it's obvious to say that happy employees are happy customers, and that's equal to profits. In 1954, it was something not that usual, not that common. And now in COMFAMA, we go a little bit further. We say happy employees, including their families. 2 years ago, I heard that families are stakeholders. Even the pets are stakeholders. I agree with that. Ask the owners of cats like me if they don't think that the cats are family. And do you want to discuss that? With even are people that think that their cactus is family, and you have to acknowledge that. But we go further. We think that thriving communities is fundamental for business success. Also, we operate as a private company in many ways, as I have said. We compete in several markets. We are legally a non-profit, so all our earnings are reinvested in our purpose. And for this goal, we partnered all the time with conscious businesses. This is what we do. We operate 39 schools. We have more than 30,000 technical students in our vocational college. We operate for a health insurance company, 36 health centers for 1.4 million people. We have 33 cultural centers, theaters, libraries, 31 sports and wellness centers, and 16 natural parks. Our income is over $350 million per year. A year like this one, 120,000 companies from our region are affiliated to COMFAMA because they think that's important to contribute to the care and progress of their employees. And this is from micro enterprises to multi-Latin companies or multinational companies. And in some, we serve a total of 3.7 million people every year. Did I tell you that my board of directors is composed by 10 people, 5 of them representatives of the workers' unions, and five of them business leaders? That's nice, no? I think it is. Just one day a month, I think it isn't, after one whole full-day meeting of listening their thoughts not only about COMFAMA, but their different views on what the country should be, on politics, on social issues, on economics. It's very enriching. I mean, it's tiring, but I think it's amazing. In many countries in Europe, employees are having representation on the boards of the companies, by law. For me, that's quite a challenge, but in general, 29, 30 days a month, I enjoy it. We were established as an organization under the idea of social dialogue as our core capability. And as I told before, so we are bridge between worlds. We connect unions and businesses. We connect youth and elders, urban and rural. And that's not one service we deliver, but that's one of our most important values. This is a sentence of the Chilean biologist Humberto Maturana. He passed away last year. He's one of my intellectual heroes. I met him when I was back in college in the 90s. And this idea that we are what we talk about says that mainly families, companies, societies really become the subjects, problems, ideas, and values they talk about. It's a simple but powerful idea. Just think about the power of the conversation in your dinner table at night, or the board room, or think about the conversation this country has when the conversation this country has is represented in the evening news. Does that define you? I'll ask you, is there anything more important than talking directly about what we should do together with those who think different on an impoverished world, post-COVID world, with democracy at risk, and the free markets, free press, under siege in so many countries? So talking, having conversations, having difficult conversations with the others is fundamental now. I was reading this book. I strongly recommend it for every divided society like yours, like ours, like Western countries, all of them now. It reminded me of the ancient Marcus Aurelius idea of what isn't good for the hive can be good for the bee. That's why the next few minutes of my presentation, I'm gonna talk about this local coalition of businesses doing conscious capitalism and the projects we have. This is why a reminder that people are demanding to us to have causes. These are our causes in this coalition of conscious capitalism in my home state. We've talked about that today. And these are the things we are doing together. When the pandemic came, we decided to help our health system, donating ICUs, applying vaccines, and donating extra vaccines. We have this program of female leadership. We are training and using behavioral sciences and mentoring for helping women in different sectors, academia, private sector, nonprofits, business, of course, to break that glass ceiling that we're imposing to them. This is another project that we have. We have, I talked about the Amazon, right? But the tropical Andes, where our city or region is located, it's an area even more diverse than the Amazon. For example, in a few miles in this area of the world, you can have more bird species than in the whole Canada or Europe. So here we are having an agri-park with promoting ecological agriculture, sustainable agribusinesses, regenerative cattle raising, sustainable natural and archaeological tourism. We'll have an archaeological patrimony there as well. This is one of my favorites. 2 years ago, inspired in Ramon Mendiola, which I wanted to thank personally, but it's not here with us, from FIFCO in Costa Rica, 9 of the Colombian leaders who came decided to start the journey of transforming the lives of our employees and their families, asking ourselves the question, how many people under the line of poverty, our line of poverty, work in our companies? Close to 10%. So now we are beginning an experiment, not that small as a normal experiment. 1,200 people of our 9 companies, including COMFAMA, are in a process of asking themselves, with our help, with our services, with our opportunities, what they could do with us to get out of poverty. This one I love very much. This is a great project. This is a full alliance of companies trying to overcome the unemployment rate in Colombia for women and youth. After the first few months of the pandemic was over 20%, 25%. In some areas of our city, it's over 80% for youth and for women. So we decided to make a contribution. I think that someone said here earlier that we have the power to hire. That is absolutely right. But we also have the power to teach. Companies are one of the most important educational institutions in the world. We always think about universities and schools, but companies are educational institutions. We are helping the rural education of our country. There are 20 partners, 23 municipalities, and 22,000 students. It was a private initiative led by businesses. Last year, the regional and the national government said, I want to get in. We are leading, and they are following. That's another message. Companies and business leaders can lead and propose initiatives for the public sector. And then they will follow if the initiative is so impactful as this one. I have like 20 more slides, and I have 1 minute. No, I'm joking, no. But I could because we have so many initiatives. If any of these that I showed today, from the institutional model, this platypus that's so difficult to explain in a couple of minutes, and the projects or the programs calls your interest, we, the Colombian group, not only me, we are open and eager to share during the rest of the summit, right? And I like this idea that beyond conscious companies, we need conscious business or conscious capitalism coalitions at the regional, local, and community level. It's not enough to be a conscious leader yourself, but you need to go beyond. You need to go across the borders of your organization if you want to have real impact. We, in COMFAMA, in Medellin, in Colombia, we're being active promoters of this idea that businesses are essential, necessary, and functional in transforming our reality, in saving the world, and catalyzing better democracies and fairer societies. To say goodbye, because this is actually my last slide, I brought a poem. What would be of life without beauty? It is a poem from a Kamsa writer. I don't know Kamsa. Kamsa is an indigenous community of the state of Putumayo. You know Putumayo because of the records company, but the name Putumayo is from Colombia and Ecuador. We have a river Putumayo and a state Putumayo. That's an indigenous name. For me, these simple words, they are very similar to a Japanese haiku. These words could be a song for celebrating our ideals of all of us, the way we all want to lead. And also going back to our origin can be a powerful source of wisdom, no? To better understand our path into the future. Just to clarify, bonito is not only beautiful. Bonito in Spanish can be translated in two senses. Bonito as beautiful and bonito as large, big. Also mothers scold you saying, muy bonito. But that's not bonito. When you do something wrong, your mother will say, muy bonito. This is not, that's the third meaning. This is only beautiful and big, important. What a coincidence, no? That beautiful and important are together in this language I speak from my mother and my ancestors. We'll have the opportunity to listen to the actual poem in the original language. I don't speak Kamsa, but I think it's worth it to listen to it. This is the poet. En español, bonito debes pensar. Luego, bonito debes hablar. Ahora, ya mismo, bonito empieza a hacer. Thank you.